Perfect. That's
All right.
beautiful. Welcome, everybody. We're back again with a brand new face. First time on the pod, Devin,
Hello.
longtime friend of mine of way too long. We won't express how long to not disclose our age and how old we are.
At least 50 years.
Yes, it's about 4 to 5 decades. I'll say four
Yeah.
decades. Welcome, Devin.
Wow.
How's life been?
Life's been good. It's beautiful today, so I was thinking about going outside and sitting out there while we recorded, but
And that's great. That's Devin. Great job. Nice meeting you, Devin.
it's nice to meet everybody, all our listeners. I just want to say a long and thoughtful written out speech that I've
They're not here anymore. They left after the Roblox podcast.
There's
They
no more-
realized
Oh, this scandalous.
No nudity. Yeah.
No
Yeah.
more Roblox sex.
No
they're
more,
out.
no more Roblox sex. They're gone.
So we're trying to pull them back in with all this Elden Ring news. That seems to be just the hot topic over the last like 3 weeks. So I decided to bring in another article so we can make a thumbnail out of that and maybe add boobs or something.
Keep pushing. The boobs.
So Game Informer article, they were documenting how there's already I think 2.5 hour plus some change speed run of guy winning without dying, which just seems absurd. We now have 2 panelists that have played the game, Mr. Walker here and Devin. Walker, how's your time been with streaming it and all?
So at first it was fine because I realized like, oh yeah, the game's meant to be hard and I'm supposed to be challenged by it. And then as time went on, I kind of got more used to it and I felt more comfortable and I died more. I got more angry because I felt, no, I'm not supposed to die. I'm better than this. And that that didn't change. And I'm now angry with the game.
Devin, I feel like a little bit more I would say susceptible to punishment. You kind of like it. How has your experience been?
Yeah, I like the punishment. So like I enjoy playing games like Phasmophobia where you're trying to get scared and things like that. But this is a whole new level of punishment, man. This game, you play it for the first 2 hours and you're like, this is impossible. And then you start to get good and you start to kill like the easy, whatever you want to call them, enemies, I guess. And then like 2 dogs, the dogs are ridiculous in this game, first of all, but like 2 of them they'll gang up on you and then just start eating you. And there's nothing you can do about it. You can't swing your sword because every time you try, the dog bites you and then you flinch or whatever. And then you die. And that, I think, is the most frustrating way to die, in my opinion, in this game.
Yeah,
This
all the little
sounds-
goblin, like the small ones that gang up on you are the worst because you can't. It just makes it. I just beat I don't know what boss it was, but little gremlin. It had 4 goblins around it, and then the rest of it was like super easy to fight. It took me like 15 tries because I kept dying to the goblins.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Sucks.
It sounds like there's a lot of like false confidence that it gives you. Thinks you finally have figured it out, and then they just throw a wrench at you when you're expecting a dodgeball.
I have a fun story for that real quick. My roommate who's playing this game, and I'll sit in and watch him a bit, and he went through that all within one boss fight. He shows up to this boss, right? The first time he fights him, he gets obliterated. Starts to figure out how the boss kind of fights and his skill set, his move set, whatever. And he's like, I got this figured out, right? He's got 2 or 3 attempts in a row where he gets the boss super low. And then he had probably another 5 or 6 right after he's like, yeah, I'm going to get on this next one. Like I've got him figured out now. Like I know what's going to happen. And then the next 5 or 6, he got obliterated again. Like it was his first time. It took him a while to beat that one, but from the outside looking in, that's kind of what I've enjoyed about the game.
Well,
as a
follow up question
spectator.
on that then, Carson. Is it making you like feel enticed to actually play it yourself? 'Cause
Yeah.
you haven't played any Souls games or games from software, right?
I've played a bit of Dark Souls 3. Never on my own time. It was always just like something my friends and I would do. I was in high school. We'd go over and hang out and play some Souls, and just kind of mess around. You'd make like stupid looking characters and just do stupid things. So I never truly played a Souls game. But yeah, watching my roommate play and hearing one of my other lacrosse teammates who plays it, hearing them talk about it, it does entice me to
Yeah,
play.
I've been listening for a long time the Min Max Show podcast, just kind of like a branch off from Game Informer. They have like a panel where a few of them have definitely been into the Souls games, and then a lot of newbies that have never played these like super hard punishing type games, and they're all raving about it. Which, yeah, I thought Elden Ring sounded cool and all, but never thought like, yeah, I definitely feel like I need to check this out. But it's come to this point where it even the people who haven't really gelled with these games before are saying like, this is game of the year potential. This is a game that shouldn't be missed. Devin, how do you feel like in regards to that? Like, is this a game that someone who's never played a Souls game should try?
Yeah. So having never played a Souls game in my life, this definitely feels like you're not missing anything when you jump in. I've heard people say, "Oh, you should play like the other Dark Souls games just to get used to that kind of gameplay and the fact that you're gonna be frustrated going in." And yeah, you can. I mean, the game doesn't. It starts off like horribly, right? You go and you fight this giant crab thing, and you die right away, and there's nothing you can do about it. Um, and that progresses the game. But I think there's an understanding that you're gonna die, and sometimes the game progresses when you do die, and sometimes it doesn't. You just take a step back and you gotta kind of refocus on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this game is really nice to people who've never played a Souls game before because it is so open world, and there's that whole new, everybody's into open world games right now. They're making Dying Light 2 is open world. Breath of the Wild was open world. Like Assassin's Creed Valhalla is open world. Everyone wants to do an open world game, and it feels like that's kind of getting boring. But Elden Ring does it in such a way where, yeah, it's open world, but you don't have to explore the world if you don't want to. I mean, you're gonna suck at the game if you don't, but you don't have to. I
Thank
like
you.
that.
Yeah, you brought up a good point, which I've heard iterated before, in which like this is kind of the good blend to like the punishing that a From Software game does, but then also that open world aspect where if you want to just like avoid that specific section to go try something else, or you're getting too irritated by it, and then you can just like move off and wait a little bit and see if maybe you just had to get a little bit stronger before going to that. So it sounds like it gives you a lot better options to when you're dying all the time and getting frustrated. Walker, same question to you. I know like it's getting annoying being punished as it's been, but what would your recommendation be for someone who's never played a From Software game?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good because it does. So I've got some other friends that play the games, and I keep forgetting to ask them. Well, I guess I don't really talk to them that much, but recently, but I don't know how it is compared to the other games, but because it is open world, like everyone always says, if there's a boss I'm stuck on, and so I just went the complete opposite direction, and I'm now on a different boss. So, and there's another direction I could go. But it's a nice way of being like, hey, this is a challenging game, but you can make it easier by just going somewhere else. Whereas the previous games, I guess, were more straightforward, and it was like, if you can't beat this boss, that's too bad. You have to keep trying.
It's actually a great segue into another upcoming game that I think I'm definitely going to get. Not like Elden Ring, I'm still kind of on the fence, but Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is really shaping up to be what is, I think, going to be a game for gamers. Game Informer article recently was talking about how this thing is just going to be loaded with content and give, as they say, players reason to travel off the beaten path. Devin, I know we were talking a little bit about that this week in regards to kind of like what's to be expected of this game and some of the features that are pretty exciting. What's your overall thoughts on it at this point?
Yeah, I'm just ready to start playing it. I've played the original Lego Star Wars game when it was called
we
played
did.
that.
We did. I remember PlayStation 2 era, probably like getting close to like 15, 16 years ago, playing like the actual episode sagas.
Man. Yeah, that game was fun though. I couldn't remember who I played it with, so apologies there, but it was fun. And that was back in the PlayStation 2 days, and they've redone all of the graphics for this game. They've made it into I feel like they made it into an open world game. I can't remember. But everything looks so crisp and so cool in this game that it's something that I think I'm going to appreciate a little bit is those graphics. Whereas, it's a kids game. Like, we understand Legos for kids, whatever, even though I love building Legos now still. It's meant for kids, but the kids aren't going to appreciate these graphics. They're going to look at this game and they're going to want to play it, and they're like, Legos, yay, woohoo. I'm going to stab this person with a stick and it's going to go through them, but it's a Lego, so it's okay. That's how they're going to view it, in my opinion. And we are going to play this game and we're going to be like, wow, this is beautiful. They've made it so much better. The nostalgia is hitting hard right now. And I think that's probably why I'm so excited for it. But I really dislike that they've pushed it back consistently. Like, it was supposed to come out in August last year, and then it was December, and then there was no release date for like a month and a half, and then finally April 10th, I think, is the release date. So definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking through because I haven't seen much about this, to be honest, prior to our talk today. And it looks really good. Like, I've never thought that of a Lego game before, so it's definitely an interesting new look for Lego games. And I think, yeah, you're right, with the older generations that are going to go back and play this, it's going to be very satisfying to see these revamped, crisp graphics. And I also like the open world aspect to it, and I don't think there's been a Lego game with this camera angle, but it looks more, like third person rather than top down, which the previous Lego games all have been. And I've played, all of the original Lego Star Wars games, and I'm probably gonna go back and buy a Lego Star Wars game now because I really didn't know what this game was gonna be like. I think we talked about it maybe in a previous podcast. But I didn't really think much of it, to be honest. I thought it was going to be kind of a remastered, same old Lego Star Wars games. And looking at the trailer and seeing like the new camera angle, the third person open world looking game, much less linear. I like you said, I'm not sure 100% if it's complete open world. But reading in the article here, it says they wanted to blur the lines between levels and open world exploration. So whether it's open world or not, it's definitely more expanded. So there's going to be more opportunities to explore rather than
probably open zone. I feel like that term has been thrown around a lot in recent time. Like, people were really excited with this new Sonic game. They were thinking, oh, open world, and then they specifically said open zone, which I think kind of gets the idea of like a Mario Odyssey, like something that's like really big in terms of a level, and it can almost feel open world-ish, but like you have to load into the next zone in itself to like have that next part to the game. So I mean, which I think would be just fine for a Lego game. And it just seems like, it honestly almost looks like a cross between like what we considered a Lego game and then like Battlefront 2. Like, looking at these screenshots, like Naboo and I think what's where the Ewoks live?
No, that's
Endor.
Endor.
Something like that. Yeah. I think this definitely has some pretty high potential, which gets me hoping that Harry Potter eventually comes. What were you gonna say, Walker?
I think what they've done is, I mean, and it still looks like Lego, but I think they on characters and like physical like things, like vehicles and such, are Legos. But I think what they kind of did with the rest of the world is kind of polished it out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's the one screenshot with the Rey in it, and it's just the ground looks like it's pulled straight from Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't look like a Lego, which I think is fine. I think what the emphasis on the Lego should be on characters and like entities within the game, but like the world style, I think should look clean and like almost realistic while still having some aspects of.
Yeah, it almost feels uncanny by looking at it with the screenshots, but when I was watching like the trailer for it, it felt all very natural. Like, it did not feel out of place to have like these very epic looking worlds with a bunch of Lego characters running around. Super exciting. And it sounds exciting that it's going to be, I think, a fully like included game. Like, I want to re-specify that, but I think it is, even though it's called the Skywalker Saga, I think it has like all 3 trilogies in it.
Yeah, I was wondering that.
Yeah, it'll have all 3 trilogies in it. And I really hope this supports ray tracing, because I feel like I haven't been able to use that enough, and this would be a good game to use it on, being that it's Lego characters. So it's not going to put my PC to the test too much.
That's what you think.
Yeah, that's true.
Just wait. The
Lego
sprites
Star
will
Wars
show you.
It's gonna be harder to run than Tarkov.
Does it run?
I don't even know what ray tracing is. Doesn't it just like make? Are there like more
lighting,
shafts of light?
It's like reflections. Like
it looks more realistic and
yeah. Like you look at a pool of water on the ground. I keep thinking of Cyberpunk whenever I talk about ray tracing. But you look at a pool of water on the ground and you see an exact reflection of something that's above you. Like
my mind
picture of it.
My mind goes to Minecraft racing.
the true.
I need to try that out with this PC. I need to see how well I can push my Minecraft.
Get those
graphics.
shaders on. Yeah. So question for everyone: if we were all to get this game, which of the trilogies would you be most excited to play? We'll start with Carson.
Oh, probably the second trilogy.
So the original trilogy, then, if you will.
Yeah. Chronologically, the second trilogy. Okay. With Anakin and getting to play as Luke. Yeah.
Oh,
and
so
having
the
Jar
prequels.
Jar.
So the original.
Wait. You said Luke.
I'm like
Luke.
episodes like 3 or like 4, 5, and 6.
Oh, so the original trilogy.
Yes. Yeah. Chronologically, the second.
Yeah, you said second. Okay, now I get it.
So, only specifying because you said Anakin, who's technically
I was
Darth
thinking,
Vader.
I was thinking.
So getting to seeing, I guess at that time he would have already completed that transformation. But I really enjoyed playing, as Luke Skywalker, and I really enjoyed those movies and the story behind that. So, I think that trilogy is my.
That would be your go-to.
Yeah, it's my go-to. That's if I had to choose an order to play it. That wasn't chronological, I'd probably play that one first.
Devin, which trilogy you most excited to play?
Definitely most excited to play the newest trilogy. And I know that's probably a hot take, but because we've played the other trilogies before, and I feel like these newer trilogies are so action-packed. Like they weren't like amazing to watch, but that was because they were full of all this action and stuff like that. And I was thinking to myself as I was watching it, this would be a fun game to play. So that is probably what I'm most excited for.
That is actually also the trilogy I would choose, and it's because, as you were also saying while you were watching the movie, I was too saying this would be a great game to try to get my mind off of how bad those movies were. Specifically the last one. I thought The Force Awakens was okay. Last Jedi, controversial, but I kind of like let my imagination run wild. But then there's no excuse for that last one.
They set it up for Finn to be this ex-stormtrooper turned Jedi, and they just
they curveballed you real hard.
Hard.
I wasn't even upset by that, but I was pissed off by, like, Rey has been literally a Jedi, quote unquote Jedi, for like 3 months, and she was doing this shit that Yoda couldn't even do in the second movie.
It was all too they forced too quickly to, like, they could have at least pulled it out a little longer. Man, like, oh, okay, so some time has passed.
Let's not even talk about force healing too, by the way.
Okay.
It just breaks everything when it comes to prequels.
They're just like, I know, and it's just like Anakin's up there like, yo, what the fuck? Bullshit. I'd play the prequel or the prequels, the Clone Wars and pre Darth Vader and that stuff.
So the
I don't know.
second trilogy.
Because of pod racing.
Oh,
Of
there you
course.
go.
Pod racing, yeah.
Why didn't that
Pod
cross my
racing.
mind? Yeah, I gotta get that
if that
pod
is,
racing in.
oh my god, if that's a feature, which I'm pretty sure it is in this game,
there was the one mission that was just a pod racing mission.
that is gonna look so good. It's probably gonna look better than the original movie. That's exciting.
Buy that for the pod racing.
Well, we have another topic that is Star Wars related. Recent trailer, Obi-Wan Kenobi streaming series coming to Disney Plus here in May of this year. Teaser trailer was released less than a week ago. Has everyone watched it?
I did. Yeah.
I have not actually seen that. I have been AWOL as far as
you pull up that link right now and just it's a minute long. You go ahead and kind of taste through it a little bit. Devin, what was your thoughts on the trailer and how excited or upset did it make you?
I'm really excited for it because I feel like that was one area that was never really explained enough. And I was hoping this would have been like the first thing Disney did when they were talking about their whole expanding the Star Wars universe by releasing series and stuff like that. I was like, this is where I hope they go first. And I think they did. This is the first series they've released for Star Wars, right?
Mandalorian.
Oh yeah, Mandalorian.
But if you want
to, Boba Fett also.
Which I wanted to get in on that because I don't know much about the Book of Boba. This is like the first, I guess, like main storyline because Mandalorian had nothing to do with the actual bit. But
true, very true.
I guess they brought Boba Fett back and kind of explained that, but I wasn't really questioning Boba Fett. I was like, oh, that's cool.
I don't think anyone was.
But like, this was a huge hole that needed to be filled, and I think they're gonna do that. And I'm seriously excited for it because they really haven't missed when they've released Star Wars series yet. Boba Fett was amazing. Mandalorian obviously amazing. And so I'm assuming this isn't going to be a miss either.
I actually have a question on that because I also really loved Mandalorian.
Boba Fett.
Baba Booey.
Baba Booey.
I loved both seasons of Mandalorian so far. I watched the first episode of Boba Fett, and I don't know if I just had too high expectations with Mando, but I was not gelling with it. Is there just like a problem with that like first episode, and I should just keep pushing through, or like what's your take, Devin, on Boba Fett compared to Mando?
Mando obviously sets the bar really high, but I think it's because it introduces a new character who's young, and it also introduces Baby Yoda. And you're just taken aback right away. You're like, wow, okay, I'm hooked. Like, I need to know what happens to these two. Boba Fett, he's not really an interesting character to begin with. So his story is kind of meh, and they're trying to make it more interesting, in my opinion. And it's cool to see the conflict that he goes through to try and regain control of his town. There is one episode, and I don't know if gotten to this part yet, but when he becomes like a member of the Sand People, and then these douchebags come and murder his whole family, and it's like, okay, now I'm involved. Like, I want to see Boba get his revenge and murder those people. It's like, I think that's when I got hooked on the show, but it does take a little bit of time to get there.
Well, maybe I'll give it another shot then. Walker, thoughts on the teaser trailer for Kenobi?
Yeah, I just want to get in real quick. So I heard that the Book of Boba basically turns into like Mandalorian, another season of the Mandalorian, like halfway through.
What?
Yeah,
as in like it focuses more on Mando and not Boba.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
okay,
so,
now I have to go back.
I just wanted to confirm that for my own, because I'd heard that.
Yeah, I wouldn't take the Book of Boba Fett as like a spin-off of anything Star Wars. I would take it out as a spin-off of the Mando.
Yeah.
Whereas I think this Obi-Wan one is not a spin-off of Mando. I mean, it'd be cool if all of a sudden Mando shows up, but I think he's not even born yet.
Yeah, timeline.
How old would he be? Actually, I did see a Reddit post. I think I took a picture of this.
There's a
They did a
breakdown.
picture of like all the characters of like recent interest and what age they would be when Kenobi started. And I think like Mando is in his I think very early 20s during this time.
Really?
So yeah, because I think like it's what 17ish years or so between like when Kenobi is to like then like the original trilogy and then like post a few years when the Empire falls and Mando starts. So I think it put like Mando at being like somewhere around like ages like 32 to 35 like in his series. So then yeah, you go back like 15 plus-ish years with that then for Kenobi. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I think there's still potential that he could be randomly in it for some reason, which like in terms of the trailer, like Kenobi's like his face, Ewan McGregor, like he's only in the minute and 46 trailer for like 7 seconds or something like that, which for me was kind of bothersome.
So well, it's I mean, it's a teaser. It's just trying to,
Show
it
it
doesn't want to
off,
show
I guess.
yeah.
That's true.
But so there's like a couple things that I guess I should have picked up on after playing Fallen Order, because I guess there's some I guess that's where the storyline line up.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like this, the Fallen Order takes place, I think, like 10 years maybe after the Purge, after Order 66.
Order 60, yeah.
The one thing that I know for sure that I don't know what they're gonna do with it, but the Grand Inquisitor, the one dude with like the funny markings on his head, his forehead should be larger, and by like, I mean, it's nothing, it's just really nitpicky, but like it should be bigger, and that's just like, because I think there was actually what movie, I think it was in one of the movies that they showed him and his head was that big, and they just decided to fall back on it. But that's just a nitpick part. But I am excited because I thought The Mandalorian was really good. I haven't watched Book of Boba yet, and I don't think they could really screw this up. There was something, I was thinking about this earlier today, that I thought Disney had, well, I guess with the newer movies, the way
don't you
is,
worry, they can screw it up if you just watch those.
Of course they can, but I'm sure it'll hopefully turn out fine. And if it doesn't, then that sucks, because this is something that I remember when they initially announced that they were coming out with a Kenobi series. I was like, that's pretty sick.
I think they know they need to hit the numbers on this one.
I mean, it was like
they're gonna have an angry crowd.
It was like 40 years, right? There's just like a 40-year gap. I guess it's like 20 years. I don't remember, but like between the end of episode 3 and episode 4, there's just like a 20-year period of time that passes.
I think it's like 17 or something like that.
Yeah, but still, there's just a long bit of time, and then Kenobi just is like super old, and then just dies. So, like, I really don't know. It's a good explanation.
Far, like the content that's come out of like in between this timeline has been pretty good. Which I mean is really only Rogue One, like that other Star Wars movie spinoff.
That's not really in between, right? That was the first Death Star.
Right, so it's like it's technically right before episode 4, but it's like it is technically between 3 and 4, and that movie has one of the best scenes of Star Wars I think that will ever be made. Has everyone seen that movie? Can we spoil this?
Rogue One.
Rogue One.
No, but it's been out for so long. I'm sure it's not even gonna spoil.
So episode 4, like you see a like very like slow moving Darth Vader come in. I mean, like Darth Vader and Obi-Wan are just like they're like meh characters in terms of the movement compared to like what you see in the prequels. And Rogue One has a scene where Darth Vader just starts slaughtering rebel soldiers.
Oh, I've seen that 100 times, yeah.
Oh my god. The music and just the entire atmosphere to that, so good. So, I mean, if Kenobi can give me anything like that, I think we're all going to be very happy. That comes out April 5th of this year. Same month that Blizzard is going to be pulling out their Overwatch 2 beta for PC. I think we've all played Overwatch, right? I know you have, Devin, Walker. Carson, you played Overwatch?
Yeah, I played a lot of Overwatch when it first came out. Thought I was going to get competitive in that game, and then I stopped.
You going to get competitive with Overwatch 2 here?
No. I think it's...
We're going to play the beta.
Maybe. Probably not. And that's nothing against Overwatch. It's just not my style of game. And I think that's what took me away from Overwatch originally, is when I first got into the game. Because I played the original Overwatch beta, I think, and played it for a while when the game first came out. And I was, just because of my ability to aim, because of Counter-Strike and other
god skills
FPS games, I played like Hanzo and these other like high like damage like pinpoint aim characters, right? And I was good when the game first came out because people didn't really know the strategies and like didn't know how to necessarily work as a team, so you could kind of pick people off and your team would win because you were just killing people one by one. And then I got to a point in the game where people understood how to actually use the different characters together and use actual teamwork and strategy in even like pub games. And that is kind of the point where I was also still focusing on Counter-Strike at that time. I was still playing, competitive Counter-Strike. So I didn't really have the time to grind Overwatch. And it became less fun for me because I couldn't just go in and kill things, because I would just get slaughtered. I was not good anymore because people figured out how to actually play the game. So that's kind of where I lost Overwatch. And I feel the same thing's going to happen with Overwatch 2, especially because it's the second game. So people going into that game are going to know how to play strategy-wise. And, there's going to be a little bit of a curve with learning new abilities and new characters, whatever. But I just don't think it's just not necessarily my type of game. I think it's a good game, though. I think it's a good game.
Yeah, I feel like if you have, because I think they're going to still be sticking with the 5v5 multiplayer. At least like that's what's going to be one of the game modes that they're going to be testing out on the beta. I feel like if you have 4 other good friends, family that you can play with, like the cooperation to strategy can be really fun. But I know I think you and I actually, Devin, we played a few years ago, like kind of trying to get back into it again. And I would play it again solo, and God, there just seemed like there was so much like toxicity when you were trying to like do something strategically. Walker, I think you were playing it more recent than any of us, I think. But yeah. What's your excitement for Overwatch 2 at?
I have none, and let me explain why. This is I guess you could say it's not similar to what Carson's saying, but the game itself, it should be looked at as a Counter-Strike, as a League of Legends, Dota 2, Valorant, whatever type of TF2, whatever type of game you want to compare it to, it evolves on its own. It shouldn't have to release a new game, because as far as I'm aware, they're adding a new PvE mode, I think, which is fairly, that I guess I could say I'm excited for. But they're adding like a new character and new maps, as if they haven't done this before, and reworking old characters. They do that. They have done that all the time. They don't need a new game. If they wanted to sell...
Yeah. Have they ever said why they're doing an Overwatch 2? Because that is weird.
Money.
That is just
money,
yeah.
And I would say because of the PvE, if the PvE and if they change the PvP, I just signed up for the beta. If they change the PvP enough, but I can't see this making any sense. And I think it would be fine if they didn't announce this. I think it was 3 years ago or 2 years ago, after the game had been out for like 4 years. And it's like, oh yeah, we're making a second one. It's just like, stop. I talked about this before. They shouldn't have done that so early. But like, this is a game that should evolve over time as Overwatch, not Overwatch 2. It shouldn't need to change, or it shouldn't need to have a new game to change, because it already did change. So I guess I'm excited for PvE. That's it.
Have they said? I don't think they've said price point or anything. What if they go like Halo Infinite route? They make it free to play.
Well, then
I mean,
that'd
at
be
the same
weird.
time, you
That
could
wouldn't
still
make any
just do.
sense because you
You
could
could
just
still do that with Overwatch, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
you could
like
just if you're
they
gonna
did
make
that with
this
Rocket League.
free to play, you might as well just plug in all that shit into the original game. If it's like $30, I'll be like fine. But if it's another $60, I mean, I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna buy it at all because I don't play Overwatch enough. But I don't know. They're greedy.
It does seem weird. Yeah, it seems like very nomenclature-ish. Devin, your thoughts?
So I was actually just looking this up because I couldn't remember. Microsoft owns Activision and Blizzard now, and I think that's going to spell a little bit of trouble for this game. I think it's going to be a little bit more Halo-like because Microsoft's going to try to force their Microsoft vision on the game, and I don't know if that's a good thing. I think this game, I agree with you guys. There didn't need to be a second one of these. You just keep reworking the first one and adding heroes and maybe nerfing other heroes and just making it more of an even playing field, and release new maps and do all this other stuff. It's like, why come out with the second one? And I was reading through it. It looks like they're going to introduce a new hero, a new game mode, and then rework some of the current heroes. It's like, well, how is that any different from just doing that to the first one?
Exactly.
It literally just sounds like a glorified update for the game. It just sounds like it's like in Fortnite. I know we've surprisingly compared, how Fortnite works to a lot of other games, but it sounds like a Fortnite, chapter or whatever they call them. I don't know. But it sounds like a new chapter in Fortnite where they completely changed the map. They, obviously it's a little different but in Fortnite they change guns. They take guns out, add new guns, player skins, all that stuff. But it's just a big update to the game, which is exactly what, reading through this article, Overwatch 2 looks like an update, because and it's even the way that they word it too. It's they're saying it's a new hero, a new game mode, and new maps. Like the whole game is new. You shouldn't have to specify these new like parts of the game. It's a whole new game.
I guess there's just so many questions behind why it is that they're like, oh, look at all these new features. But
it doesn't make sense to me. I feel it should be, and maybe it's because they are hoping to build popularity for the PvE mode, because and maybe they, in their mind, they feel the only way they get people into the PvE mode is by releasing a new game. Which kind of has people almost forces people to try it out. At least if you're going to get the new game, why not try this? Whereas if it was just a big update, and they added in this new game mode to a new update, people are going to be like, well, I don't really want to try that. I'm going to keep playing Overwatch the way I played it and try out the new characters and the new game mode for PvP. But I'm not really into this PvE thing. So maybe they're hoping they bring a new audience in by having this PvE as part of a new game, and maybe they'll get some kind of a new audience. But that's the only thing I can think of.
I think that point to Devin's, kind of makes sense, right? Like, this was a Blizzard entity that was under the Blizzard Activision umbrella, which, from the last, even from this past year, they have been trying to annualize games and sell things as like a whole new thing. I mean, they've been doing that with COD for practically 2 decades now. So maybe they were planning, because I was asking about what the price point would be for this, and it almost does sound like they were gonna just try to repackage it with a few minuscule features and go, okay, brand new game, $40, please. And I mean, maybe it's now great that Microsoft has pick them up. Hopefully they'll, and kind of what you were saying, Devin, it seems like so far Microsoft has been pretty good about leaving their own hands off of some of these game developers like Bethesda, like Double Fine, in regards to their game development. So hopefully it still kind of feels like the Overwatch game they want, but maybe they'll say just make it free to play and we'll keep the 2, because you've for some reason been advertising it that way for a couple years now, and we'll just keep giving out the content for free. I mean, I think that's the best thing for Overwatch at this point, because this isn't enticing me at all to pay another $40 or $60 for it.
The whole thing behind that point as well is that I think that is probably the way to approach it. And if they really want to monetize it and try and squeeze the profits out of it rather than making all of Overwatch 2 paid, releasing the PvP update, essentially marketing the PvP side as an update to Overwatch, and then the PvE side is expansion. So if they want to squeeze money out of it, you have to pay for the PvE. Kind of like with Halo, is you can play the multiplayer for free, but you can pay if you want to play single player.
Like Overwatch or like Fortnite, you can play the way more popular free to play battle royale, or you can actually pay for their PvE. I'm pretty sure you still have to pay for that shit too.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm surprised it's still around. I'm not gonna lie.
Every time you go in the launcher, would you like to do PvE or the PvP that you?
I haven't even noticed. I haven't even noticed that, honestly.
Yeah, you just bypass it. So,
yeah, I just completely go right by it.
So nonchalant now.
I've been playing Fortnite. I picked it up for this last 2 weeks or week and a half that I've played it. Never noticed that there was a PvE option launcher.
Oh, incredible.
I guess the big issue, I guess the big part, I didn't notice that, is they're going from 6v6 to 5v5. I guess that's their big point in being like, oh, it's a different game because there's one less player.
Oh, I thought it was always 5v5. See, that's how long it's been since I have played Overwatch. I didn't even realize.
Oh, yeah, I also didn't pick up on that.
I mean, that's not warranting a new game.
Really good. We're really good at what we do, guys.
Oh, well. At least Bobby Kotick isn't going to be in control of this game's oversight. Which new recent article of allegations in regards to insider trading around him. Both Wall Street Journal and PC Gamer did a report on this. Apparently, there was I think it was over $100 million stock purchase by a few different individuals that net profited them $60 million for the sudden acquisition of this stock right before Microsoft made the announcement that they would be acquiring them. This occurring all within a 4-day span of the stock purchase and then the announcement from Microsoft. So, and another little spin to that article, the 3 men who made those trades were all having some pretty decent links to the current CEO, Bobby Kotick of Activision. So let's see. We had they call them, no, that's something else. Barry Diller, a longtime friend of Kotick, served with them in the board of directors for Coca-Cola. David Greffin, a close friend of Diller then to the friend of Kotick, and then they call him a socialite, fashion designer Diane von Furstenberg, who Diller is married to. Yeah, all
actually
people...
to clarify that, it's actually Diane's son.
Oh yes,
yes,
look at that.
Alexander von Furstenberg, son of Diane, who is married to Diller. So there's
my teleprompter was getting all mixed up there.
There's all that connection. We love some good insider trading. But don't do it. It's illegal.
Only if you get caught.
Jesus.
Yeah, don't be looking into all my NFT crypto stock, please. Keep that under the wraps.
Yeah, no, it definitely it serves for a cause to investigate, and I think this is going to go south. I don't see really how you can kind of get out of if you're on their side, if you're Kotick. I don't see how this kind of gets swept under the rug. I don't think you can really defend your position because it's not like he bought a little bit stock, right? It's not like he was just I was talking to my broker and he said we should start investing into Activision shares. No, like $108 million worth of shares. That's a lot of that is a lot of money to put into a single stock. For all of you that are not finance majors as I am, you want to diversify when you invest. Investing $108 million period is obviously a lot of money. Investing $108 million into a single stock is not something that any unknowing advisor would recommend, or unknowing businessman would ever say, yeah, I'm going to buy $100 million worth of this stock just
Yeah.
because. Like,
Their excuse is pretty poor to that as well. Like they're cited in this Walt or the PC Gamer article by saying the thought was that Activision at some point would either go private or would be acquired at some point. But it's literally 4 days before that Microsoft announcement, which I believe occurred in January. And like I think people were figuring it was going to be acquired at some point. Like you could
Yeah.
say that like after all the sexual allegations were occurring, but that was like well back into 2021. So the fact that there was like right at this dip before the announcement was made is it seems way too coincidental.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not a good look, because if you were truly along that thought process of, oh, they're gonna go private or be bought, in the future, you probably either would have broken your purchase down into smaller purchases and not spend $108 million straight away. So when you initially have this feeling like, oh, I want to get in on Activision because they might go private and I won't be able to invest, I'm gonna throw some money at it now, see what it does, and maybe throw some more money at it before whatever happens. But to me, it feels like they got this information and we're like, well, shit, we have 4 days to take, or we have a few days to take advantage of this. Pull the trigger now. Like that's the vibe I'm getting, is that this was information that came to them very short notice, and they said, this is a great opportunity for profit. We're going to have to take it now. Like, we have to pull the trigger right away. It doesn't seem like it was a strategic investment. Well, I mean, obviously it was strategic if they had insider information, but
It might even be another layer of strategy, because it's like, well, they just profited 60 million on this.
Exactly.
Like, how much now they can throw literally like even just a quarter of that into litigation for this like suit for insider trading. I mean, I have not ever followed any form of prosecution for insider trading, so I don't really know like how difficult it is to prosecute that, and then what the results may come from it. But that is a lot of. I mean, it's similar to like a corporation. Well, I mean, it could be similar to like a corporation getting fined what seems like a ridiculous amount of money for us, like in the millions, and it's literally just like a day's worth of money, maybe not even that, for a corporation who can just like absolve it and be like, nah, whatever. So,
and reading this real quick, correct me if I'm wrong, these were not like corporate purchases. These were individual, like personal purchases of this stock, right?
yeah, they make it sound like these three individuals purchased a like collective of 108 million, which it doesn't, at least in this PC Gamer article, they don't specify much more as to like how it was brokered, but
Yeah.
it does sound like it's on like their own individual portfolios.
Because I'm wondering that because I was looking into the prosecution and punishments for it, and with something of that value, I feel like that's going to be, if they are found guilty, it's not going to be good. So the maximum jail time for criminal insider trading, which I believe this would fall into, is 20 years in a federal prison. And they can be fined on top of that another $5 million. So yeah, they obviously they're still going to be in the profit, but they are going to spend a lot of money on the actual trial and lawyers and all of the litigation that needs to take place. They're potentially facing up to 20 years in federal prison. And then on top of that, each of them could be facing $5 million in fines, which is just a lot. That's, I mean, don't go to jail, kids. It's not worth it.
Devin, you're the judge and executioner. How many years they getting, and how much money are you taking back from them?
Oh, they get the death penalty, and there's really no question.
Wow.
But I as the defense attorney would like to bring up my defense and say,
yes, please.
Go hard or go home. I mean, like, it's as simple as that, Your Honor. Go hard or go home. And my client clearly went hard, and
also went home.
He went home with $60 million. Or
I might be going to a new home with that much.
Yeah, aren't like federal prisons all cozy though?
Yeah, if you're the,
I mean, if you just made $60 million,
kind.
yeah, like if you just made $60 million and go into federal prison, and you're like, hey, how about you give me, I don't know, a really nice place to be?
Hang out with the mafia men.
They'll get off pretty easy if this does like actually go somewhere, which it probably won't. I mean, they'll get off probably pretty easily,
and they probably won't be in Gen Pop, so it's not gonna be terrible. But I, with the amount of money being moved around here, I feel like the punishment has to be on a heavier side, because
like death.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, other people are gonna say, if they have information, that benefits their trading, and you're like, well, these guys got off pretty easy, and I'm not gonna be doing nearly as much money, so I'm not gonna get nearly as much punishment. And I feel like that's kind of what you have to do in a justice system, is kind of set a precedent, because obviously people get off easy all the time because of the money they have and the positions they hold, but I feel like if you are thinking of this from a systematic point, you have to kind of go hard with the punishment, because otherwise it opens the door for other CEOs and high net worth individuals that are going to say, well, I can take that penalty. They just kind of view it as a little penalty. They're like, I can take that for $50 million profit.
Yeah, it's kind of the whole theme of like too big to fail, which I feel like time and time again we're kind of seeing more of in this current corporate climate. Similar to, man, I feel like we just never run out of allegation stories for this podcast. But Sony is a little bit in hot water now as well, from a Kotaku article talking about sexism allegations under PlayStation, which the company is fighting pretty hard. They had a suit filed in California offices, alleging pay disparity, wrongful termination, and other instances of gender-based discrimination. They tried to say that this case failed to show any failure of like policy or practice proceedings at PlayStation, and that there was another kind of tidbit, like that it's literally only one person that's filed under the suit. And now it's been reported that there are 8 more women that are making the same accusations regarding the systemic sexism. So we're having spanking party round 2 now, moving into 2022.
Yeah, and reading through this, it's not good. It just seems like a complete lack of human decency, to put it bluntly. They're passing around, not only, it's not like a remote issue where it's like one creepy guy in the office is doing this. It was like they're talking about how they would rank female employees by their hotness, quote unquote, and then pass around jokes and pictures of women. And it's being passed around. So it's not like a small group or like a one creepy dude. It's a group. It's a collective that is taking part in this. And they're also, claiming that the male employees would go to strip clubs during lunch and like share porn throughout the day. And she was forced to use a storage room with a broken lock right off of the entrance lobby when she had to breastfeed for her kids. She had twins and requested a private lactation room. And they said, "Here's the storage locker, or here's the storage room with a broken lock right out, right by the entrance, right where
Lord.
people who are going to be coming in and out of this office are going to be passing through all day. You can go into that little storage closet right there, and you can handle your business. But that's all we're going to provide for you. So it just seems just not good."
I mean,
This
okay.
is specifically at Sony's California office,
yeah,
if I'm
yeah.
reading the article properly.
The
I don't even
California
think they
office.
have women
Classic
in Japan.
California.
Classic
like-
California.
I think it's hard to find women in Japan, so I don't think you can even have these kind of allegations there because they don't exist in Japan.
Japanese women don't exist.
It's not a real
Heard it here
thing.
first.
So one thing I would like to know is, I know lactation, that's a very private thing, and I guess they can't use the woman. I just bring this up because I have no idea. They can't use the women's bathroom because the other women are uncomfortable with it.
That I would,
because I've always thought about that, because I'm like, that shouldn't be, but I don't know. Maybe I guess they just
it's an intimate thing, and you don't.
I wouldn't call it intimate, but I'd say it's more of a personal, private matter. But
yeah,
intimate
within yourself. You can be intimate.
Okay,
within
well,
yourself.
yeah, but that's more.
But it's something you wouldn't want to be sharing in a public room with people.
Right? Sure.
Especially not a bathroom. I feel like a bathroom's just kind of dirty.
Plus,
just thinking of that.
You have to sit down when you do it, and like sitting on a toilet for however long it takes for you to feed your baby or lactate into a bottle or something. Like that's probably not comfortable. You're in a tight stall sitting on a toilet seat. Like
yeah, that's a good point. And if you're using if you're like making a lactating like through a pump for a bottle, like that's gonna require some external device that I don't think you'd want to use in a public bathroom.
Not to mention those things are loud, and like I'm a shy pooper, so like if there's someone loud in the stall next to me, like I have problems like trying to get the poop out, So like if there's a pump going off in the stall next to me, I'm just sitting there the entire time, and I'm like, I'm never gonna get a turd out. Like,
excuse me, can I use the private lactating room to use the toilet?
And to bring in more like official legal terms as well, it's a law that there has to be
I know there's like a private room for
within companies because it's I don't know where this, I believe this is a federal law here that employers must provide a place that is not a bathroom, therefore storage closet.
Okay, so that would be why you can't use it back on it.
And it has to be.
This is a very bad article for us,
men
to be talking
or
about.
Men.
Us 20-year-old men, none of I don't know. Devin
Quickly, let's
has
get our
kids,
significant
but-
others, and they can.
I've
they can
never
talk about this
lactated.
instead.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I have, but I'm still not under the right gender for it.
I just feel like it's
a one-off thing. I guess if we go back to the sexual allegations part, I mean, we got that covered, No, it's just a bad thing. This shouldn't happen. It does happen all the time, apparently in California, all the time with every game company.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess that's just, don't go work in California, and I guess you're fine. I'm not sure.
Yeah. But I think the another issue is it's like they're not asking for a lot. This is a natural thing that happens for an employee of a company, and for them to
natural to share your porn with your friends.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
No, but like it feels like they're not asking for a lot. They're just asking for human decency, and the fact that there's seemingly pushback from the company to provide human decency for their female employees.
In California.
Yeah.
It's true. On. It's a barbaric world out there in the Wild West. Why are you even
California,
out there?
bro?
Oh yeah, just California.
Just California.
Right.
Everywhere else is civil, but California, that place.
California should be its own country.
No, it shouldn't exist. We should
cut it off the U.S. Float it.
Well, they don't allow piracy there in California, unlike Russia, which is now ready to potentially legalize all software as tech and game companies are continuing to pull out of that country. Yeah, it's going to be quite a wild west of itself. Let's see, Kotaku article talking about helping citizens get around the growing list of tech, gaming, and software bans that the country has been facing due to, that destructive invasion that they're kind of doing in Ukraine. So their solution is, fuck them. We'll just let you do whatever you want. Go download all torrents that you so desire.
And you got to do something when your country's banned from Pornhub.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to do.
There's definitely not hundreds of other places you can go for that.
To not I don't want to get too into the political side of things, but like, it's bad when the citizens and even the soldiers don't want to be doing this, and the country's workaround is, oh, you don't want to fight in this war, you don't want us doing this bad stuff, how about we get around all of the sanctions that they're trying to place on us so you guys are happy, then we can keep doing our invasion, no problem, right guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that like that's the point of the sanctions. They're like, well, what if we just basically ignore those and because the entire point, and anyone that's in the country, and I can't speak of this because obviously it's not happening to me, but the point of the sanctions is, I think, mainly directed to basically harm, not specifically, but the citizens, and make the citizens, have like civil unrest and make them go up against the government, because it's not going to stop the government. They can do whatever the hell they want. They're the government of a corrupt nation. So
it's not necessarily to create civil unrest, but it's to create unhappiness, because the hope with the sanctions is that the government's going to see how much their citizens are struggling, whether they care about it or not. That's a different story. But the hope is that the government sees that, hey, our people are suffering because of what we're trying to do. Maybe we should stop it. And unfortunately, it seems in this case that the Russian government really doesn't give a fuck. And they're just going to say, we're going to find workarounds for you guys, because we want to keep doing our thing, regardless of if you're happy with it or not. We're going to find workarounds so that we can keep doing what we want to do, even though it's not in the interest, the popular opinion of the country.
Yeah, it's I think this specific sanction or workaround, I think, is to kind of help ease the sanctions that were, I think, going to be getting the citizens in the feels a bit more. I know they've been trying to like seize assets of the Russian oligarchs that maybe do have a little bit more influence on the government to maybe try to sway them. But this specifically, from Russia is to help the citizens go, no, we're still living normal lives. No, Pornhub is still a thing.
You can still get there. You can still use it.
Surprisingly, I'm surprised Putin's just like, you jack off to me and only me, and you'll be fine.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is, though. When you go on Pornhub in Russia, it's just pictures of Putin.
It's just Putin.
Yeah, just different pictures of Putin.
They deep fake every scene with Putin as both.
Yeah, both of them.
Actors.
Yeah,
or all actors. Whatever you're into.
Yeah, it's just all Putin, and if you're not happy with it, then that sucks. You're going
to go to Ukraine.
You're gonna
and then
love.
you'll be watching Putin there too.
Going to love our dream leader.
Oh man. So what do you think this means for us? Like, I feel like, I mean, not that I dive into torrents at all, but like, one, I already feel like half of Russia already, that's probably hyperbolization, but I would say a good chunk of Russia already like torrents a ton of shit. Like, if one was to go on to said like torrent website, like, I feel like a lot of it is like Russian based in the first place. So like, do we expect, like, with this being the case, like, there is going to be a sweep of torrents that are now made available not only like in Russia but across the world? Devin, thoughts on that?
I don't think much is going to change. Honestly, I think now it's just going to be like, hey, this is legal now, so we're not going to punish you. And it's going to be like, okay, well, we've been doing this already for years and years. And it's like, okay, it's nice to know that we're safe now. But Yeah, you're still gonna see Russian stuff everywhere. The Russian people. I'm sure this is a huge worry that they were very concerned that they're not gonna be able to play their video games. With the war going on
and watch their porn.
Yeah, watch their porn, of course. Yeah, they're all super concerned. Actually, that's what I've heard recently is that they're all super concerned that they're not going to be able to watch porn and play their video games while there's a war going on, and they could be fearing for their. So
yeah, all of the protests I've seen in the street, they're just holding up signs that say,
yeah,
we want our Pornhub back.
That's the main conflict going on right now. I think Russia is just having to deal with it. Putin is really pissed at the United States specifically for those reasons.
Give me back my porn right now.
No, I don't think it's going to change much. I think maybe what they're trying to do is keep businesses happy, Russian-based businesses, in hopes that allowing torrents will potentially get the businesses based in Russia still giving them some kind of profit, because obviously with sanctions, it affects not only things going in, but things going out. And not to get too off topic here, but this is where some of what I've heard lately around it is, the game that I play a lot, Escape from Tarkov, is a Russian-based game. The development team is all Russian. They develop in Russia, and there's a growing concern for the community that eventually this game is not going to be allowed to be played. And I think Russia's now trying to find a way to keep their businesses happy, because when it all comes down to it, right, money talks. Right. And if the government is not making money, if companies, big businesses within Russia aren't able to make money, that's what is hopefully going to get some kind of reaction from the Russian government. And unfortunately, their immediate reaction was not, maybe we'll step out of Ukraine. It was, we'll find ways to illegally do this so that we can keep our citizens happy. And it's just a bad situation all around.
Yeah, I didn't realize that Escape from Tarkov Battlestate Games it's literally in St. Petersburg. I had no idea. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and it is a big issue. Obviously, it sucks for people. It's horrible for people in Russia that aren't supportive of this. As I feel, from what I've seen, it seems like a popularity or a majority of the citizens are not happy with this, and it's affecting their economy incredibly. I mean, a ruble. Now the ruble to the dollar has never been super strong. But I believe at its peak, like 1 ruble was equal to like 18 or 20 cents maybe at its peak. But it's gotten so bad now, it's less than, I believe it's less than a cent. Or it's like, yeah, it's like half of a single ruble is like half of a cent now.
A tenth of a cent.
Oh my God.
It's like 0.012. I don't know.
It's exactly. Less valuable than Dogecoin.
Yeah.
Is it less valuable than Dogecoin?
Dogecoin's
less valuable than a robot. Well, I don't know this.
Dogecoin's like 12 or 13 cents.
It might be I don't know, but it's worth less than a Robux.
Yeah.
Man, is that recent? Like, I felt like Dogecoin was like such a
no. I don't know if it's Dogecoin is. Oh, dude,
at one point it peaked at like 70 cents, but
it peaked over like $1.
No, it never hit $1.
Oh my!
I think it hit $1.
I would have sold it if it hit $1.
It hit 70 cents.
Yeah,
right before Elon in his Saturday Night Live skit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just crazy to see the economic impact and how Russia decides to work around it, and it's just not surprising, really.
The big thing is it was supposed to do though is it's supposed to help with like business side, like you said. It's supposed to help with the people who rely on the software, like the big corporations that rely on Microsoft and Apple, because that's obviously, like you said, business wise, you got to keep them going. But since they run off like the cloud and shit, that probably won't do much, because who controls the cloud is the people that own the business, right. So they can easily just shut that off anyways. So the gaming side isn't really gonna get much out of that. And I think the people who already or who can torrent, even if they weren't doing it already and they know how to do it now, I don't think there's anyone who's going to torrent because they can if they didn't know how before. I'm saying it's going to be a very small majority of people that are very small minority going like, oh yeah, I could do this now and it's completely legal. All right, I guess I'll give it a shot. Like, you know, you're not going to just be like, oh, hey, you know how to torrent?
You can now
like,
torrent
no,
my
dude.
porn, and they're like, what?
I don't even know. I don't know how to torrent shit. I'm like,
what's
I
a
work.
torrent?
I work at the bakery down the street, bro. I have like a 1.5 GPA. Like, what? Fuck.
Will a torrent help my deli? No. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I guess not. Fuck you.
Yeah, that's. Oh man.
It doesn't seem like it's gonna be super helpful.
Has anyone from Battlestate made any statement in regard to the war in Ukraine at this point?
Not that I know of.
Like I looked up Nikita's the head developer and CEO of Battlestate. He hasn't tweeted on Twitter for like
I think most companies, unless it's
I think it's a point of safety for the company. Because especially because they are a company producing inside of Russia and their product is being used outside of Russia, it's important for them to not say anything against Russia. They're essentially supporting in silence. Because
that's exactly what I was gonna say. The fact that he hasn't said anything in 3 weeks, I think almost does show support to.
And I'm reading through here, not to cut you off, but reading through on a Reddit page here from a Ukrainian citizen who or he may not. I don't think he lives in Ukraine now. No, he lives in the Netherlands now, so he's safe. Which was my concern. I was like, why is he tweeting about Battlestate games if he's in Ukraine? But anyways, he was born in Ukraine. He's Ukrainian. He's outside of Ukraine now, so he's safe. But he made a statement about it because people were getting upset. Tarkov fans were getting upset that Battlestate games and Nikita hadn't made any kind of a statement yet. And I think they were upset because Battlestate games actually was firing people that were speaking out. And this guy is in complete support of it. He's basically, reiterating our points. He's saying, for this company to speak out is risking their business. In Russia, even especially in Russia, it's risking their livelihood and potentially they're facing arrest if they are to speak out against their own government.
Not potentially, they're definitely facing arrest.
Yeah, right. If they're speaking out, against their government that is, theoretically supporting them, and providing them that space to work and whatever else they provide them, they speak out against that, they're literally going to get arrested. So it seems like some people are coming around to that idea where they're supporting in silence right now because of fear for themselves, which I think is fair.
I think we all can. Go ahead, Walker.
I did know this. It's just not as prevalent. The War Thunder game that I play a bit of is owned. I don't know if it's owned by. I believe it's owned by a Russian company. Gaijin is, I believe, a Russian company. But they're like based all over the EU. But I believe they're like a mainstay in Russia and like Russian founded or whatever. And the way they spoke out against it is basically saying, because it's a war game with tanks and shit like that, so it's all like relevant as well, modern times. And they just straight up said like, we believe strongly that war should only stay in the realms of video games. We pray for peace and safety. So you can work around speaking out against the war by saying like, hey, our game's about war. We think war should stay in video games. And, so while I understand you want to be silent, you can maybe get around it. And I obviously say that being not in Russia and not fearful of being arrested for speaking out. So, but I think there might be ways of, going around it. But it doesn't matter because in the eyes of the Russian government, that still can sound...
although we are blacklisted in Russia now.
Yo, for sure. The kids' table is never allowed to be played. Probably in China, definitely in Russia. We'll keep adding to the list as we continue on with the pod. But all very good points. I think all very valid ways to protest against it. I think I can speak for the whole pod when saying, we hope that everyone can stay safe, things can get resolved peacefully, and hopefully sooner rather than later. Just keep the world back to where it was when we were all just staying locked out during the pandemic and playing video games. All right, good stuff so far. We're nearing our 90-minute mark, but how about we do quick kids table media consumption? This will be Devin's first time, which naturally will make him go first, and then shame him when he does it wrong. So just talking through something in regards to anything you've been playing, watching, something from this week that you have been doing, really enjoyed, yada yada.
Or didn't like.
Or didn't like, yeah, anything. What's on your mind?
Okay, so Rockstar has a sale on Steam right now, and there are only a few Rockstar games that I really like. I never played Grand Theft Auto 5, so I can't confirm if I like it or not. It was free on Epic Games once, so I got it. It's in my library, so it's just sitting there. I'll play it one day, but there's too many other games right now. I've played Red Dead Redemption 2, and the Rockstar model, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That seems like that's what they live by. Their whole environment in every single game is basically the same, with like whether it's in the Wild West or it's in modern times or whatnot. But what I'm trying to get at is that they had a game from the Xbox 360 days called LA Noire. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it.
Yeah.
Yep. Good one.
It was like $5, and I was like, man, first time I played this game, I fell in love with it. This game is amazing. I love being a little detective running around solving crimes, and like there's no pressure of like you have to solve this right away or you're gonna die. No, there's none of that. Like you're an old time detective with like no technological help other than a car. And I bought that game. I started playing again. The nostalgia hit hard, and it's just amazing. Very excited to keep playing that game. What else? Elden.
You're gonna have to watch as you introduced me to Video Game Donkey a few months ago. You're gonna have to go back then once you finish this and watch his LA Noire gameplay video, which is quite comical.
Very good, very good.
Speaking of Donkey, he actually just released a Elden Ring video.
Yep.
I haven't watched it yet because I just saw it was released. I'm really excited because I'm sure he loves that game.
Oh, I bet he loves From Software.
So
yeah.
to give you a little teaser, I think I watched the whole video when I was very sleepy this week. So I don't remember any of it, but I do remember it was, from what I recall, it was funny. Obviously it's Donkey, but I'm going to have to rewatch that as well, but good quality content.
Okay, good. So it's not like his best video of all time content.
No.
It's like mid Donkey tier, which is still great.
Not 11'7" or whatever.
Oh yeah,
11'7".
I showed Devin that one. That was mwah. Oh man. You were saying something about Elden Ring, Devin?
Oh yeah. I was just gonna say, it took me almost an entire day to beat General Radon in Elden Ring, and that is probably the most difficult boss I've ever faced, the most frustrated I've ever become in a game where you actually have to get up and walk away because you're so angry that you really think you might break your computer just by staring at it or something like that. And that, yeah, I just couldn't stand there and take it anymore. Like, how can From Software develop such a game like this where it causes me so much frustration that I just want to keep playing it over and over again because I love to torture myself? Like,
yeah, that's called addiction. That was the punishment thing I was getting at.
Stockholm syndrome.
It's the guy you locked in and you love it. Oh man. How many hours for General Radong?
For General Radong, did it take me?
Radong. Yeah.
Probably of actual fighting, and not like, you die, you wait for the screen to respawn you run back to the area and teleport in. Of actual fighting, it probably took me about 6 hours.
Jeez.
What?
Well, how deep or how many hours? I know it's obviously open world, but how many hours are you into the game?
Oh man, I don't know.
More than
let's go
24?
check your Steam account.
Yeah, I would have to say it's more than 24.
Because I'm only 8 hours in, and I know I haven't gotten very deep. So
Let me see. 54 hours on record right now.
Sheesh.
So
Solid. Very solid.
and I'm
All right,
not that far in.
The Walker, speaking of which then, so you've been doing some Elden Ring. What else have you been up to this week?
That's a great question. Rocket League.
There you go.
I played like on the final day. I didn't get to champ. I just placed a champ in twos, so that's cool. But on the final day, I literally took. I think me and my friend won like. We said, "Oh, lose one more game, we're done." And we won like 5 in a row, and I went from like Diamond 3 Division 1 to Diamond 3 Division 4. So I was like 1 game away from being champ, but I got it this season.
If you want, you can play with Devin and I. We can drop you back down to platinum.
Well, if I play with
Easy.
both of you, then we'd be in 3s, and then we wouldn't have to worry at all.
That's true. That's true. And then you would definitely be staying in platinum.
But I played some Elden Ring last night, about 4 hours. That was the first time I actually got upset at the game because of the goblin, little goblin dudes. And then I like died another 3 times to some other boss and said fuck it and just left and got off because I didn't want to deal with that. It wasn't like upsetting me. It was just I didn't want to have to deal with learning how to fight another boss. Outside of that, I tried to play Madden 22 again. That game sucks. I tried to play. That's about it. Watch some Counter-Strike, so I might be getting back into that. It was a pretty dull week for me. Hopefully next week is not. But
well, Carson, you were on spring break this week, so hopefully you got something for us.
I mean, lacrosse. I mean, I could talk through my spring break. It was not necessarily media as far as video games and TV, but there was a lot of stuff we did. I got to travel out to the East Coast on a bus. That was fun. We had a sketchy hotel. I should probably not talk too much about that, but
we'll refrain then.
It was an experience. We'll just say that. Everything's okay.
This will be for our Patreon content.
Yeah, there was no issues. Like nothing happened really. It was just kind of sketchy, and we resolved that issue very quickly.
Oh man,
without any incident. But so we got to go stay in Maryland. Played the #1 team in the country on Wednesday, and
you spanked them, didn't you? You spanked them good.
No, I wish.
Spanked them as hard as you possibly could. Confirmed. He spanked.
The crazy thing was though is like, I think we could have played a better game, but we just learned what it takes to be at that level. I think, because of just anytime we made a mistake, they would go and shove that mistake right in our face because they'd score a goal off of it every single time, and then they just didn't make mistakes. And it was a humbling experience to go and play a team that good, but also to know that our team is not far from being able to be on that same stage.
Nice.
And then we spent the next day in Gettysburg, which was really cool. We took a tour of the battlefield, because they have a significant portion of Gettysburg, of the Battle of Gettysburg, that has been preserved, and it's very similar as far as the terrain of when the Civil War was going on in the Battle of Gettysburg, and really just overwhelming, some of the information that we got, and hear some of the stories, and how the Union was able to pull through and have a victory there, when it seemed like all of the momentum was going the way of the Confederates at the time. That was cool. If you're interested in history, I recommend reading up on that or going to visit Gettysburg. It was great. And we took a ghost tour that night of the town of Gettysburg because it's supposedly super haunted. And we took an hour before our game on Friday to walk around the Gettysburg Memorial Cemetery. And that was it was all an overwhelming experience. And then
I'm trying to remember, did we go to Gettysburg when we went to DC, Devin, for our 8th grade trip?
I don't think so.
felt like we stopped somewhere of significant. Couldn't remember if it was Gettysburg or not.
No, I don't think it was Gettysburg. It wasn't a giant open.
Not that I know of.
There's a town. I mean, obviously there's a town, and then yeah, the majority of it is a lot of open fields, and but it's a really cool city. If you have an opportunity to go visit Gettysburg and you like history, um, it's really cool. The hotel was pretty nice, and it was just a really cool experience, to be honest. Um, the ghost tour was also pretty cool because there was some history there, and kind of we wanted to find ghosts. Apparently, my team made that same trip, played a different team, but they stayed in Gettysburg a few years back before I was on the team. I think it was the year before I was there, and one of the assistant coaches that's still on the team, actually like caught a picture of a ghost on his phone, and was like, he was in my tour group for the ghost tour, and he was skittish the whole time. It was really funny.
He was looking pale. He was already spooked.
It was great because right off the bat, right, our tour guide asked, who wants to see some ghosts today or tonight, and he was excited, and everyone kind of raised their hand, like, yeah, I kind of want to see a ghost. And my coach he's just kind of sitting back, didn't raise his hand, just kind of looking around, like, no, I'm okay. So that was fun. And then we played Gettysburg College, the number 10 team in the country, and wasn't as good of a game for us. We, not saying we should have won that game, but it should not have been as big of a deficit as it was. We just made a lot of errors that we typically don't make. With Salisbury, it was one thing to make the errors that we were doing because we were playing with 100% effort, and it was just little things that happened. Whereas Gettysburg, it just kind of seemed we were kind of missing something. But that was cool.
What you get for haunted, you're
and then we stayed
bringing up all the spirits.
Yeah, and then we stayed in another like haunted hotel on our way back.
Jesus, you didn't learn.
Yeah, we stayed in a hotel near Pittsburgh. That actually, I think parts of the hotel were used to film scenes from The Shining, and and you could tell when you walked in. I mean, it was, for the most part, in the hallways, it was like low ceilings, super long hallways. This hotel was huge. We actually had some downtime because we were done playing games, and the only thing left on our trip was to go home. So coach kind of let us explore, and we were all walking around the hotel, and it was creepy. I'm not gonna lie. There was some creepy little rooms too that I guess are like meeting rooms or something. And you'd open the door, and you're like, I don't want to be in here anymore. It was and yeah, it was. That was my quote unquote media for the week. I pretty much just watched YouTube videos of Tarkov or watched college lacrosse while we were on the bus. So
good times.
Yeah.
You boys will be happy. I'm sure we'll talk more about this at least next week, because Josh will be sad if our entire conversation on this is done this week. But I binge watched all 10 episodes of the new season, Drive to Survive.
Couldn't get
Formula One racing on Netflix.
I couldn't get into my Netflix.
Oh my god!
The whole bus ride back. The whole bus. So it came out, that night that we were in the hotel, and the next day we were driving back, and it came out that morning, and I was like, I've got 4 or 5 hours that I can just sit and watch, 5 episodes.
It would have been the best way.
Go to log in and nothing.
It was ridiculously good. I obviously know you and Carson and Walker watch. Devin, how into Formula One racing are you?
Not very.
Well, if you have Netflix and have any form of access to it, you have 4 seasons of this show, Drive to Survive, to watch. And I think I started watching when it was in season 2.
More
I
of
binge
a
watched
documentary, though, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like a documentary.
Because it's actually about the season of
Yes, it's the background of the season previous.
Yeah,
so it's not like a fake shit. It's all real. This is real.
It is all real, all captured video and interviews with mostly the players and the team principals and some of the bigger journalists in the Formula One world. And I mean, I know you, Carson, and Josh have tried to get me to like just watch the season, but good lord, I had some of the big parts spoiled for me. Really, only the real big part spoiled for me in the series. But good lord, I was just so excited to learn about like all the twists that occurred that were highlighted in the show, and it did make it just feel worth not watching it. I think we'll have a debate on that.
Yeah, we will. We'll save that for
week.
next week. Yeah.
But it's so good. Yeah, I mean it's great testament to the fact that people into Formula One and watch it for the whole year enjoy it. I didn't watch a single Formula One race before I started this series, and am just I literally watched it within about 36 hours, the whole new season. So, Devin, I feel like this needs to be something on your queue list at some point.
All right.
It's just that good.
And also to throw that in for a little teaser for next week, that's going to be definitely a topic because next week is round 1 of the season. Round 1 of the 2022
I was gonna say
season.
We should wait for the season to start, but if that's the case,
Yeah, next season.
Perfect.
When
First
the
race
game
will
release
be
at the same time.
First race will be next Sunday, and the game release is usually like mid-season, I think.
Ah.
I'm gonna make you guys sign waivers not to spoil anything to me after this race.
We'll get
I
to
don't
that.
wanna know.
We'll get to that through the debate because I think you should still watch the races, but that'll be later.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see if you can convince me.
I'll watch
prior.
the series. I'll watch the series and tell you. We'll talk about the different viewpoints of someone who's watched the race and then watched the series versus someone who only watches the series.
Yeah, exactly. You might be able to give me even more fun behind the scenes, quote unquote behind the scenes. What they left out with everything. But all right, that's a wrap for this pod. Devin, great job on a first appearance on the podcast. I'm sure will not be the last time you join us here. But thank you everyone for, if you did actually make it to this hour and 32-ish minutes, we appreciate it. We love you all, and we'll see you next week.
Deuces.
Yeah.
Bye.